Use the given trigonometric function value of the acute angle theta to find the exact values of the 5 remaining trigonometric function values of theta. Now, all we're really given is sine theta equals 3/7. So we draw a little triangle and put an angle there. So we can use this 3/7 to label a triangle. Let's remember that sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So the 3 is going to end up being opposite and the 7 is going to end up being the hypotenuse. So 3 is the opposite, 7 is the hypotenuse. So that means a squared plus b squared equals c squared. This b is really representing the adjacent side. So since 7 squared is 49 and 3 squared is 9, we subtract both sides by 9. So b squared equals 49 minus 9, which is 40. And when you take the square root of both sides, you get b is equal to root 40. Now let's take an example right here and take a little sidebar and see how we simplify square root of 40. We basically try to break this down into a perfect square if we can find a perfect square for a factor. And then we just take the square root of that perfect square. Whatever's left over remains inside the square root. So b is 2 root 10, and we're going to use that to find the remaining 5 trigonometric values. So we have opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. That's all we need. So let's list them out. Sine was given. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is 2 root 10. Hypotenuse is 7. Tan is opposite over adjacent. That's 3 over 2 root 10. Remember, we want to rationalize this and bring the root 10 to the top. So that becomes 3 root 10 over 20. Cosecant, 7 over 3. Secant, 7 over 2 root 10. We want to rationalize that, bring the root 10 to the top. So we end up with 7 root 10 over 20. Cotangent is 2 root 10 over 3. Find the 6 trig functions of theta. Again, this is just like the other one. You're going to use Pythagorean's theorem to get the other side. And so we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we have 1 squared plus b squared equals c squared, or root 5 squared. 1 squared is 1. Root 5 squared is 5. You subtract 1 on both sides, you get 4. And then when you square root both sides, you get 2. So there we have it. We have all 3 sides now. So all we really have to do is list out the trig functions and label the sides with opposite and hypotenuse and adjacent. So we have sine theta, which would usually equal opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite of the angle is 2. And the hypotenuse is root 5. So that's going to be 2 root 5 over 5. Cosine theta is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is 1. Hypotenuse is root 5. So that becomes root 5 over 5. Then we have tangent is opposite over adjacent. Opposite is 2. Adjacent is 1. So that's just 2. Now if we want to get the reciprocal functions, all we have to really do is flip these. You can decide whether it's easier to flip the actual result or before simplifying. I think it's easier to flip the before simplifying. That way you end up with the square root at the top anyway. So to get the remaining, we're going to have cosecant theta is equal to root 5 over 2. We're going to have secant equal root 5 over 1, which is just root 5. And we're going to have tangent, cotangent, equals 2 over 1, which is 2. And that's it. Here's the result typed out a little bit easier, but that is the result.